Welcome in, everyone, to the Game or Die podcast. That's right, the podcast. My name is Ryan Moore, and today we're going to be talking about the games that I've been playing and streaming over the last few weeks here. Now, just to kind of be upfront a little bit, the reason I haven't done the podcast in a few weeks is because, unfortunately, our dog, Sunny, uh, she passed away, and that was a real big bummer. It kind of was really hard for me to kind of get out in front of a camera and actually be happy when that happened. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been kind of just remembering Sunny and having a good time with her in her final few weeks that she had here with us. And then over the course of the last couple of weeks after she passed away, it's just been kind of hard for me to be like, hey, let's talk about video games. But I have been streaming and playing video games since then. And, again, life moves on. Life's okay, But I just wanted to let anyone who was going, hey, I thought you were doing podcasts every week. What's going on? That's the reason why. And with Easter and family visiting and just work in general as well, time has just gotten away from me over the past couple of weeks. Also, I haven't been playing that much. I've been just kind of going through a lot of the same games that I've been going through over the past month and a half or two. And there's not that much more to say about something like the first three Tomb Raider games. So again, that's just kind of the basics there, but just wanted to get that out of the way so that if anyone was wondering what was going on, that's the reason why. Anyways, let's have some fun. Sunny would have wanted it that way. She was a wonderful dog. We still have two wonderful dogs at our house. We also got some bunnies over the past couple of weeks that we found in our yard, and we've been taking care of them over the past 2 weeks. We did let them go yesterday, though. We kind of released them back into the yard, made sure that they were healthy and all that. But we definitely want to get some more bunnies. So I've been building a bunny. I call it the bunny palace, the hutch where they're going to be able to live in our basement. But yeah, we've been having some fun times, some good times. And let's talk about some video games, right? Okay, so with video games, I've been playing a few over the last couple of weeks here, and I've been going through Tomb Raider, starting back in Valentine's Day, of all days. They released Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 Remastered Collection, and I played through all three of those games. And I loved pretty much every moment of it. Let's be honest. There was definitely some streams where I got a little bit frustrated with the puzzle mechanics, the not being able to know where to go. But for the most part, I'd say like over 95% of the time playing those games, I had a blast playing them. So what did I do after I played Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, and Tomb Raider 3 Remastered? I went to Tomb Raider 4, Tomb Raider The Last Revelation, and I've been hearing amazing things about this game from the other people who've been in the streams talking, from other streamers like Nirik, who's been basically my champion while I've been playing Tomb Raider. And it's been such a joy to play through these games. Tomb Raider 4, called Tomb Raider The Last Revelation, which I didn't know was 4. I didn't know it was kind of a continuation of that series. I didn't even realize. I remember hearing and seeing this game, not gameplay, but I remember the box art. The reason why, it's one of the only Tomb Raider games on the Dreamcast, my favorite console of all time. So as I looked up the box art, getting ready for doing Tomb Raider 4, I went, oh, that's this game. Okay, cool. And I've been seeing and hearing a lot of people say, dude, if you really like Tomb Raider 1, you're going to love Tomb Raider 4. And I do. I think out of all three of the games, Tomb Raider 1 is my favorite. And the reason why is because with Tomb Raider 1, it's all about Egyptian culture, Egyptology, the study of Egypt. Now, my grandmother went to Egypt. She showed me pictures when she was alive of her trips to Egypt, and I always thought that was really, really interesting. It's something kind of been ingrained into me. So with Tomb Raider 1 going, oh, there's a lot of Egyptology. There's a lot of stuff that deals with like Seth and Imhotep and Cleopatra and like a lot of Egyptian culture and lore and mythology. I was really enthralled by it. And so when everyone was like, dude, if you like Tomb Raider 1 as like your favorite, you're going to love Tomb Raider 4. So I was really, really excited to play Tomb Raider 4. Now, getting Tomb Raider 4 working on a modern PC is not the easiest thing in the world. I had to download a couple patches. One of the patches from the Steam version that everyone was like, this is the one you need to get, a widescreen patch. It just didn't work. I had to find the GOG or the GOG version of Tomb Raider 4 and find a Plexito, or I can't remember how you pronounce the guy's name, the modder. But this modder I've been working with, that I've talked to back in like 2018, 2019, getting the Sands of Time trilogy working. The Prince of Persia Sands of Time games, he put out this like big patch. He used to, or he still does, he patches all these old classic games. And he's got this basically mod tool that adds these patches kind of automatically. And so I've been basically doing that and trying to figure out how to get that working. I finally did. And once I was able to get the patch working and get controller support working for the game, I was off to the races. And man, I've had a blast with Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. The one caveat is that the game does not hold your hand, like at all. Most Tomb Raider games don't, but this one takes the cake on it. This one is just like unbelievably frustrating sometimes, where I'm like, I have no idea where to go. I don't know what to do. And I think that's expanded upon because when you actually play these games, especially Tomb Raider 4, the level design is so confusing. It's very, very maze-like. On top of that, with Tomb Raider 4, they have allowed you to intermingle and cross over levels. So you can go back and forth throughout levels. And that adds to the confusion. It adds layer upon layer of complexity to the actual game itself. So navigating through Tomb Raider 4 is really, really difficult for me. I already had a hard time with Tomb Raider 2 and 3 and the level layouts. But this one, it just, again, it expands it in a way that's really, really hard for me personally to understand. Where am I? What am I doing? What's my goal? Where do I need to go? So it's just been really, really hard for me to continually play that game night after night and go, all right, hopefully I don't waste 2 hours just running around in circles. And there's definitely been a few streams where I wasted like over an hour running around in circles. So I personally have to kind of take a step back and go, okay, all right, breathe, Ryan. Make sure you don't get frustrated because it's a video game. We should be having fun with it, right? So I'm not taking a break on Tomb Raider. I am just giving a quick pause to kind of maybe feel out some other different games, maybe try something new, and then come back to Tomb Raider maybe this week with a little bit more fresh mindset going, all right, cool. Let's finish this game because I got like 20 plus hours in this game easily, and I'm not done. I looked it up and I'm like, if I'm going by the pace that I'm going right now, I'm probably about 6 hours away from finishing the game. So I am ready to finish it up. I'm ready to move on to the next game. I don't know if it's going to be Tomb Raider or not. I would love to continue, and I will continue Tomb Raider. I just don't know if it's going to be right this week, right? So I love playing all sorts of video games. I love playing all these different video games, and it's just something that I have to kind of remember, hey, This is fun. This is enjoyable. If I'm not having fun, if I'm getting frustrated, take a pause on it. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's where I am with Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. It is very interesting. It is really fun. I do have some issues with it. And I think the main issues is I don't like the interconnected levels. I really do like having an end cap of, hey, I finished the level. Let me see my progress. How long did it take me? Did I find all the secrets? Did I get all the pickups? How many people did I kill in the level, right? Having that beginning, middle, and end chapters to each level really, really helps. Having it all interconnected, kind of like I'm assuming they kind of took notes from Half-Life, where it's all one big main story and level, all interconnected, is just really rough for me to kind of wrap my mind around that with the Tomb Raider series, because it hasn't been like that over the course of the last 3 games. But man, it is enjoyable. The combat is really fun. The traversal is really fun. I think there's some really cool level designs and enemies as well. One of my favorite things that I saw so far is there's this area where you're in Egypt and you're in this town, and it's like almost a hub world. And each one of those little sections you go to is like a whole, mini level in and of itself. And there's a couple things that game does. Number one, there is a theme park type of attraction level. And I am a sucker for theme parks. I love theme parks. I love that type of stuff. So it's been really, really fun being able to kind of look at it, watch it, and play it, where you've got all these different things going on, all these different little, attractions. I'm trying to think of the wording for it, but basically it's all these little things that theme parks do to kind of get you to be interested. The theming, the layouts, and the attractions, I guess, it's really interesting. I love that. There was also a part where I went into an underwater cave and it opened up into this huge temple. And that huge temple looked really cool, but it also had one of my favorite animals of all time in it. It had a hammerhead shark. I love hammerhead sharks. They are super cool. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit here too. But super cool, super fun. I love Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. But I've spent enough time in it to the point where I'm ready for it to be done. I'm ready for it to move on from maybe not the Tomb Raider franchise, but at least that game, and see something new. Hopefully they kind of condense it a little bit. So that's Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. The next game that I kind of wanted to talk about is a brand new game from Moon Studio. Moon Studio is the studio or development team that brought us the Ori games, O-R-I, Ori. If you don't know what I'm talking about Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The Ori games, they were produced by Microsoft, I believe. They were kind of mainly Microsoft games. But man, did I love those. Oh my gosh, I loved the Ori games. They were so much fun. And when I played those games, I didn't really have a hard time with them. I did hear people play them and say, oh, these are really hard games. And I didn't think they were hard at all. I didn't think they were difficult. I didn't die most of the time in those games. There's definitely some parts where I had to retry over and over, mainly because of platforming. But I don't think I really died all that much in the Ori games. Fast forward to 2024, they put out a new game called No Rest for the Wicked. Now, No Rest for the Wicked is in early access, and I don't know why. I'm usually pretty apprehensive about early access games at this point. Number one, you don't know what they're going to do with it. Early access basically says the game can change at any time, and we can change it as much as we want or as little as we want. So there is already a barrier of, oh my gosh, we have to be really careful about, you know, is my money going towards this game and it gonna be finished or not? That's the first thing. There's so many games on Steam that are in early access that have been in early access since 2014, when early access became a thing, and they've never been updated. They were just put out, dropped, right? A lot of bad faith type of stuff. The other thing is, I'm really, really apprehensive about early access when it comes to a larger studio. Why? Why is this game in early access? You have the funds to be able to, I mean, clearly you've made this game, and I'll talk about it in just a moment here, but you are a big developer. People know you. You're one of the biggest developers out there in the world, and you're putting this game out in early access. Why? So again, I'm just apprehensive. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just wary of it. Give me a second. So I'm just wary of early access. Now, with No Rest for the Wicked, basically, they say, and it's kind of cool, they have a letter in the beginning of the game saying, hey, thank you for purchasing this game. It's in early access. We are going to try to do the best we can to make this game as perfect as possible. Give me one more second here. So basically it is, you they say, thank you so much for buying this stuff. We're really happy with what we have so far. We're here to balance it. And that's where I think this early access is really designed for this game. Why this game is put out in early access. It's for balancing. It seems like it's pretty much done at this point, which, hey, cool, awesome, whatever. I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter to me. They also tell us what type of game it is, which is an ARPG. And if you ever listen to me, you know that I hate the term RPG because it basically means nothing, because every game is an RPG at this point. And just adding another letter to an acronym just does not help. So ARPG, CRPG, regular RPG, FPS RPG is just whatever. You know, I kind of, my eyes glaze over whenever I hear the term RPG in video games at this point. It means nothing to me. Now, what they're basically saying is this game is an action role-playing game. It's basically Dark Souls, because every game is Dark Souls as well. Every game has a parry system. Every game has a repose. Every game has that really hard, hard combat where it is unbelievably brutal and difficult. And that's just most games at this point. It is a trend that has caught on and stuck around for a while. Personally, I hate it. I wish games did not think that they needed to be unbelievably hard and difficult, but I like a challenge. So I did play this game over the course of 2.5 hours, and parts of it I did really enjoy. But personally, I'm especially with the Ori developers, they know how to make a game look good. Check out the graphics on this game. The cutscenes alone look unbelievable. Like, I want a movie to be made in this art style. It looks so stupidly good. But you got to be very careful, because I'm not really digging the game itself. The art style looks fantastic, but the art direction is like every other brutally hard Dark Souls game. Super dark, super rainy, just ugly, monster designs and all this, like everything grim dark. I'm just tired of it. I want a game that has nice, bright, sunny, scenes every once in a while. Not everything has to be so morose. And so I'm kind of like already feeling the weight of this game right off the bat. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I spent 2.5 hours and I haven't seen a single shred of light in this game other than, torches. That's pretty much it. That's the only fire and torches are the only light that you get in this game. Everything else is stormy, rainy, dark, lightning, thunder, morose, evil, beings running around trying to murder you at every point. It's just stressful. And there needs to be some sort of, a little bit of give and take. Let me feel like I can breathe in this game. And that's how I felt. I felt like I couldn't breathe in the game at all. And that's why I don't like the Dark Souls games. I never feel like I can breathe. I don't have a moment of respite or rest. I feel like I'm just constantly being battered. And it adds to that when I can't pause the game. Just like all the other Dark Souls games, you can't pause it. So if my wife needs me for something, or if there's an emergency or whatever, I need to use the restroom, I can't pause the game. And it's like, why? This is a single player game. There's no rhyme or reason for that. But luckily, from what I've seen and what I've played, it seems like the enemies don't immediately respawn every time you save at a bonfire. And I'm going to just use Dark Souls terms because, again, that's what they are. Every one of these games has the same exact layout. And I'm just kind of getting sick of, we have bonfires, we have respawning enemies at bonfires, we have, the souls where all your XP is gained and then lost when you die, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, this game kind of bucks that trend a little bit as far as I've seen so far. I haven't gotten far because it's really difficult, but they do buck the trend of you're not losing your souls, your XP every time you die. You are losing your armor's durability. So it kind of takes a little bit of the durability stuff from like the new Legend of Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, where every time you use your weapon, every time you die, your armor and your weapons lose a little bit of durability. Now, near the end of my first stream with No Rest for the Wicked, I did see that my armor and my weapons broke. And luckily, right where I am, the game knows, hey, you're going to have a hard time with this boss. We're going to warp the blacksmith to your spot. So every time you die, you respawn and you can just walk up to the blacksmith really quick. He'll repair all your armor, all your weapons, everything in your inventory for free. And you can just try again. Now, like I said, I did have a very difficult time with the boss. I think I spent about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, just retrying over and over and over again. And I started to get it down, but it requires perfect memorization and timing, which I'm not good at. It's one of my flaws. I suck at timing. I can't clap on beat. All right. That's how bad it is for me. That's me and timing. We don't get along. So when I try to play these games where it's muscle memory, timing, memorization of animations, which is all what these games are, that's why I don't gravitate towards them, because I'm bad at them, but I could get better. I know I can. That's not an excuse, right? But it is inherently already bad for me. It's already difficult for me. And to overcome that difficulty, I got to put in the time. But if I'm not enjoying the experience at all, it's really hard to put in the time. Like if I wanted to learn the guitar, I got to be able to enjoy learning the guitar, going, oh, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit better. But with these styles of games, which most are at this point, it's really hard for me to find even a remote nugget of enjoyment when it is just beating me over the head constantly. So that's kind of where I am with No Rest for the Wicked. I like it. It's an Ori and the Blind Forest developer or game, so I'm gonna stick with it. It is in early access. Hopefully they hear from a more generalized audience saying, "Hey, dude, this game is just a little bit too hard." Or they do one of the things that we all should have in games, difficulty options, right? I know it's a sore subject with these style of games. The developer made it that way. You need to be good at it. Get good. Well, getting good is just memorization because, like I said, that's what it is. If you memorize the attack patterns and if you figure out this is when I need to hit the block / parry button, bam, you got it. And I did that a few times with that first boss. And I went, oh, this thing is super easy. But it is also random loot, and the loot that I got in that game sucks. It's not towards my playstyle. It's big and super heavy. I could not block and parry on time because by the time my animation finished of hitting, the enemy was already attacking. Just like, it kind of felt like a whole cauldron of bad things happening all at once, a perfect storm of bad things happening all at once for me to not enjoy the game the way I felt I should be enjoying it. So I stopped. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a pause on this game. I'll come back to it. Maybe after an update, maybe after, a little bit of tweaking, maybe even after just, a little bit of time away, I'll come back to it. And hopefully it'll click with me. But I will continue on with it. It is just one of those games where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm kind of bummed that it's this difficult. If I was able to crank the difficulty meter just a tad back a little bit so that it's not ultra brutal hard where I need to spend over an hour on the first boss of the game, but maybe 5 to 10 tries, hey, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I think I could deal with that. And again, it's a sore subject for the people who really like these games. No easy mode. I'm not asking for an easy mode. I'm asking for a difficulty meter, so a tick, back a couple notches saying, hey, it doesn't have to be ultra brutal. Just give me a challenge. Give me something to overcome, but don't make it to where it's going to make me just drop the game and never look at it again, right? Because that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this game is like, I don't want to play it, even though I do. I do want to play it, but I know how crappy of a time I had with that first time with that game and that boss, where I can't do anything else. I have to move forward with that boss. I can't do it until I beat it. To beat it, I already spent an hour on it. So it's just, again, give and take, tweak it a little bit. I'll be more than happy to try it again. So that's where I'm at with No Rest for the Wicked. Another game that I started playing, I played it last night. We started up Fallout 4 VR. Let me tell you how much I love VR. I mean, if you've listened to me at all, you know how much I love VR. You know how much it means to me to be able to inhabit a world. Now, I was never a big Fallout person. When Fallout 4 came out, I remember it being really, really hyped. And I was like, whatever, I'll try it out because, hey, whatever. But when I played Fallout 4 in 2015, oh my gosh, I had such a good time with it. I really loved it. The atmosphere, the music, the whole style of it, even though I'm not a big post-apocalyptic fan, all that type of stuff bores me to death. The Fallout universe is something special. It's really well created and crafted. So when they released the VR version of it, oh my gosh, I could not get enough of it. Because when you play VR, you're not just playing like a 3-dimensional game. You're inhabiting the world. And again, I've talked about this a billion times with VR. You are in the world like you're standing directly inside the video game. Like we've had so many types of media make fun of or poke fun of, or even just try to represent, hey, you're living in this world. The character gets sucked into the video game world and they're playing around, they're dodging for their life and all that stuff. You die in the game, you die in real life, all that type of stuff. We're all familiar with it. But that's what VR is. You think about like something like Tron, where the character gets sucked into the video game. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what VR is. You're sucked into the video game. You don't have the feeling on your arms. You don't smell the video game, but you are inhabiting the world. And so when Fallout 4 VR came out, I was just like, dude, this takes it to a whole nother level. And it's incredible. It's such a fun time. And so last night I loaded up the vanilla version because I've been playing around with mods, and I played around with mods years ago with the VR version. But the TV show came out and that reinvigorated everyone's love for this series. I mean, you can't go online right now and not see an article about the Fallout TV show made by Amazon Prime. My wife and I watched it. It's, I think it's 8 episodes. Most of them are a little over an hour. So you've got about 8 to 9 hours of this Fallout TV show. And man, is it good? And is it unbelievably violent? I was kind of a little bit grossed out and also kind of cringed and curled up a little bit on a couple scenes. There's some rough scenes in that game or in that TV show. But overall, it's a really interesting, fun, enjoyable TV show about a video game series that is faithful to the video games. We've had that in comics for over a decade at this point, right? Video games are finally getting their due. Remember how many crappy video game movies and TV shows there have been over the course of the last like 30 years? There's been some real bad ones. Now we actually have some good ones. So Fallout is the newest one. The TV show's awesome. It's on Amazon, so go watch it if you can. If you like the Fallout series. Walton Goggins, I've always loved. He's always been one of my favorite character actors. Whenever he shows up in something, I've always enjoyed him. To see him in a main role where everyone's starting to learn his name. Oh, it's that one guy. No, everyone's like, oh, it's Walton Goggins, right? So I like that aspect. But 2, it's just a really good show. It's a fantastic show. It's unique because it does have 3 to 4 main characters in the game or in the series. And I was not expecting that. I really wasn't expecting to have multiple stories and characters throughout that show. But it does do a really good job of keeping you engaged, because when you have multiple characters in a TV show and you dedicate a single episode to one single character in plotline, it can be really tough. But even though they do that, I think maybe once or twice, where like one single episode is like dedicated to that character, it doesn't feel like it. And because, again, you can binge watch everything, you can kind of go through it in a couple of days. It's really, really fun. So my wife and I did that, and we had a blast with it. I highly, highly recommend it. So just like with everyone else high on the TV show, it's reinvigorated a lot of people to continue to come back to the Fallout series. And it's really cool because the modding community has been reinvigorated as well. And not only the modding community, but the modding community for the VR game, which most people hate. And I don't get it. I don't know why. I played the vanilla version of the Fallout 4 VR game on stream last night. I didn't really have any main issues. I did have an issue where my gun kind of weirdly got glitched in my hand, but it still shot properly. It just the graphics of the gun kind of like did not combine together properly. glitched out a little bit. Other than that, it was a totally solid, excellent experience for 2.5 hours until my headset died, until the power drained out of my headset and I had to stop playing the game. So the vanilla version is totally fine, totally acceptable to play. But there are mods and there are new mods coming out. So I've been playing around with them over the past couple of weeks, not just making or to make sure that I could play them on the stream and show what the game can really look like, what it can really do. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the time to implement everything and test it out because I do tests. I try to make sure that every stream that I do, when I hit go live, nothing is broken. I don't have to fiddle with anything. I try that. I try to make it as nice and good of an experience for the watcher as possible. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the VR version with mods to work properly. So I just kind of went, you know what? I'll just play the vanilla version, the unmodified version. And it was totally fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to do a VR stream again, probably tonight, and I am going to do the modified version as long as I can test it out beforehand. And, life is what it is sometimes, and sometimes I just don't have time to test. I try to do a test stream every time before I go live to make sure everything is working properly. Like even this podcast, I sat here for 5 minutes doing one test, another test, and another test, and then watching them all back to make sure there's no audio issues, no other issues. I want to make sure that these streams are professional because, hey, I do it for a living anyways. Why not make my gaming streams professional, but also make it a good experience for the viewer, you guys, right? Or the listener, because this is a podcast. So, I want to test out the Fallout 4 VR with mods before I go live tonight. And hopefully I can. So if I'm a little bit late tonight, hey, that's the reason why. If you haven't, or if you're just listening to this podcast and you don't know that I do streaming, hey, I do streaming. You can always check out my stuff at gameordie.net. You can join the Discord. The link is always in anything that I do. I put up those links, and I just want to talk about video games with people. That is the whole point of why I do this, is to talk about video games with people. So if you like talking, or if you just like listening or watching, that's totally fine too. I have no problem with that. I just want to be able to share my experiences, which is why I want to show off the VR version in such a good light. It is so important to me to show VR in the best way possible because I think most people do it pretty poorly. Most people don't allow the viewer to understand what the VR version does. I had a viewer last night saying, "Hey, is the VR version good?" And I went, "Dude, let me show you." And I actually showcased something that I show off in my YouTube video about why VR is awesome, where you can put the gun through a hole in the wall, which you could normally never do in the normal video game. You can rotate your arm 90 degrees and start pulling the trigger. You can fire down a hallway and kill a bunch of people in a hallway across from you, down the hall, on the other side of a wall, because the VR version allows you 6 degrees of motion, forward, backwards, left and right, up and down, right? And you can't do that in normal flat screen or what they call pancake video games. So that's basically Fallout 4 VR. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it is one of the funnest experiences in VR that you can have. Subnautica is another one. And I know these are like 2017 games, but I want to do a lot more VR. I'm going to do a lot more VR streams. It's just I need to make sure everything is working properly. I'm working on a green screen so that I can stand up and walk around because I'm just sitting in this chair. So last night, I'm sitting in this chair and people are going, "Your character looks a little short. What's going on? It looks like you're ducking. Do you need to stand up? Can you stand up, Ryan?" But I'm like, dude, I'm physically sitting in this chair. So I'm like, what, 4.5, 5 feet tall? If I stand up, then I'll be much taller. But, that's the way it is. So I always want to make it as good as possible. It's just going to take a while. I have jobs, my work that I do here always takes priority. All the gaming stuff is all hobbyist. It is all just for fun. So you need to give me a little bit of lax on that if it doesn't pop up properly. Anyways, that's Fallout 4 VR. I'm going to try and do some streaming tonight with it. So if you're watching live or if you're listening to the podcast, you can always check out the VODs, the video on demand, the YouTube or the video on demand on Twitch of previous streams that I do, because it's all archived there as well. Twitch does only archive for, I think it's like 15-ish days, so a couple weeks. So if you haven't watched one of the streams for over a couple of weeks, then it does go away. But the YouTube channel archives every live stream that I do. So if you're ever curious about a live stream that I do, you can always check out the YouTube archives, and that will be there forever. VR, it's awesome. We're going to have some real fun with VR streams. And the last thing that I did want to talk about briefly, really quick here, is the game of the month for April. Like I said, at the beginning of April, I just did not have some time to really do some stuff because of the emotional issues that I was dealing with Sunny. But basically, I was trying to figure out, what do I want to do for game of the month for April? Game of the month for March was Expeditions, and man, that was super fun. Game of the month for February, I think it was Tomb Raider. I can't remember, but I had a lot of fun with Game of the Month in March. So I went, what can I do for April? Nothing's coming out right now. No new games that I'm excited for are coming out for the next several months. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to think, and I finally decided on, hey, look, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is one of my favorite games of all time. Let's revisit it. So I did that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do any fun videos, any YouTube shorts or anything like that like I normally do. So kind of been on a little creative downward turn for a little bit here. And I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to, because I got so many pirate video ideas. I could knock out 5 right now in the next hour if I wanted to. So I was a little bit bummed that I didn't get to promote it. I was a little bit bummed that I didn't really dive into like getting everything ready. But hey, it's okay. These things happen. That's part of life. So just moving forward, I'm going to try to be a little bit better about promoting the game of the month, making sure people understand what game of the month is, and, just having a good time with it. So I already have May's game of the month, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But game of the month is basically hey, this is a game that I want to showcase over the course of the entire month. We're going to dedicate at least one stream per week to this game, if not multiple, depending on how enjoyable it is. But I wanted to try and pick something that was enjoyable, that's going to keep my attention for an entire month. And Assassin's Creed Black Flag is a big game. It's a huge game. And I've spent several streams just floating around the ocean and kind of going here and going there and listening to the sea shanties and listening to my crew and have them cheer when I get on board, have them kind of get worried when I jump overboard, and just exploring. It's a real fun kind of turn your mind off and turn your brain off after a long day type of work schedule type of game. So I've been having a lot of fun with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And the sea shanties. Let's just talk about the sea shanties real quick, shall we? It is such an enjoyable part of that game. It's something that is very unique, and no one else has really taken that idea and done it well since then. There have been a couple other Assassin's Creed games since Black Flag, where you can sail on a ship and your crew will sing, but it's nowhere near as cool or as awesome, or even in the whole cohesive, like, hey, this is a pirate game. You're on a ship. They're singing sea shanties. It all feels perfectly designed. It doesn't work like that in the other games. This game found the perfect thing as a clincher for everything else. So it's been fantastic. It's been really fun. And I'm really, 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 really enjoying it. That is the April game of the month. So I'll be playing Black Flag for the next couple of weeks here until April is done. And when we get into May, I do have a new game of the month planned out. I'm trying to think, should I talk about it on the podcast now? I think I will. May's game of the month is going to be the first game in a new series that has kind of become a series now, because the sequel just got announced, and the sequel is coming out later this year. It is verified for 2024. That series is Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game came out, I think, in 2018. And it's a game that I didn't hear about at all. And it's because I was focused so mainly on the main video game media websites. I was listening to Giant Bomb. I was watching Giant Bomb. I was watching, that type of, crew talk about video games. And I didn't really see much other things other than overlap from all the other gaming websites, IGN, Kotaku, all these media sites kind of focused on the same exact thing. And right around then I was like, there's definitely more games coming out. Why am I not hearing about them? And I'm not going to get into all the rigmarole with the media sites and all that type of, stuff. But I was really bummed out when I definitely heard people talking about this game outside of those circles. And anytime those people that were talking really good things about that game, the people inside those circles that I was paying attention to would immediately disregard it, immediately say, oh no, this reason, those are terrible. Excuse me. They would immediately say, oh no, those are terrible people. Oh no, those are people that you don't want to listen to. They're bad. They don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Right? Just disregarding anyone's opinion about anything else if it didn't line up with their own. So that's kind of when I started kind of turning my attention towards other avenues of, wait, what about these people? They're talking about completely different games than everyone else that I see online. What's going on? Why are they saying this is good, but these people are saying it's bad? And again, not getting into all of the politics of it, because I don't like politics. I don't like all of that stuff. I want to focus on video games. So Kingdom Come Deliverance, they announced it kind of got leaked. They announced the sequel to the game, and it's coming out in 2024. So it is coming out this year. I'm super, super duper excited about it. And I literally know nothing about the first game. So I will be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance in May for May's game of the month. So I have a few weeks to kind of prepare for it. I'm going to really try and do some promotional aspect for game of the month like I did in May or March and February, and we'll go from there. But that's going to do it for the podcast. I know it's a little bit shorter than I normally do, but like I said, I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit concise today so I can do some testing to make sure the VR stream tonight goes smoothly. And then I just don't have that much to talk about with games. I'm sticking to the games that I've been playing recently. I haven't really seen much new stuff come out that has interested me. Um, and I've said this before, and I don't want to be dour. I don't want to be a downer. I'm trying to be as energetic as possible. But I do think 2024 is going to be a really rough year for the release of video games. There is video games being released every day. Hundreds of video games being released every day at this point. But most of them aren't worth our time. Most of them aren't that interesting. Most of them are the exact same game being remade by someone else. So it's really hard to kind of filter out, separate the wheat from the chaff, right? The good stuff from the bad stuff. And so that's hopefully what I can do with my streaming, is to really showcase the good stuff, the best stuff, the stuff that you want to play, that you want to see being played and talk about. And so maybe that's me shifting gears a little bit and focusing really, really hardcore on several games over the course of this year that are awesome, top-notch type of stuff. And, nothing's set in stone. Tomorrow is never promised, right? So we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, but I'm going to I'm going to try to do a better job of showcasing the really good stuff. And if I find, hey, this isn't my thing, this isn't my jam, this isn't my groove style of game, just kind of not trying to beat it into the ground, beat it into submission, make me feel like I have to do it. Like something like No Rest for the Wicked, maybe, where I don't know if that's my jam or not. It is in early access, and I do hope that it does get better, because I like the studio, I like the developers, I love the art style, even though it's a little bit dark in direction. But man, that art style is good. So again, it's me trying to figure out, hey, how do I want this streaming stuff and these videos and this channel and the viewers, you guys, the listeners, what do you guys want to watch and listen to and see? If you have any suggestions, I am an open book. You can always ask me anything. I will be 100% upfront and honest. You can come to me with anything, within reason. Let's be honest, it's the internet. We want to be careful, but you can always ask me anything and I'll be more than 100% honest with you. I think a lot of streamers aren't like that. I think a lot of streamers feign interest, feign their enjoyment of games, or even their intelligence, where I've definitely seen a lot of people play a game where they know exactly what's happening. And they're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And it's like, yes, you have. You've played this before. You know exactly what's going on. So it's weird. It's a really weird thing. If you ever have comments about this podcast, the format, if you want me to answer questions, any of that type of stuff, I am always, always willing to lend you an ear, listen to you guys, and, formulate something really, really cool and special, a really fun place to hang out and talk about video games. If you want that right now, the best thing that you can do is go to gameordie.net. There's links everywhere, on Twitch, on YouTube, on the website, and gameordie.net, and click the Discord link. Or if you're on Twitch, just click the Discord link. Or if you're watching on YouTube, click the Discord link, right? Wherever you want, wherever you are, join the Discord for Game or Die, and that's where I am. And we have a few, members and followers. I'm trying to make it a more popular, fun place where we can interact and have fun when I'm not streaming. When you have a question about a video game where you don't know if it's good or not, I've played a lot of video games in my life. I'll be more than happy to tell you if it is good or if I think it is bad, right? But, man, it's been a really fun, just a little under an hour podcast. But yeah, like I said, if you ever want to know anything about video games, I'll be more than happy to tell you my complete 100% honest opinion with it. But that's going to do it for this podcast. It's a little bit shorter than normal, but hey, that's fine. I'll be back tonight at 11 p.m. ish. I'll try and hit that 11 p.m. mark. my family always comes first. I want to make sure that the stream is working properly, and we'll do some more Fallout 4 in VR, hopefully with mods this time, and just mod it up and listen to some fun music and have some fun conversations. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, Game or Die. You can always check it out on gameordie.net. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts. And I finally did fix the Spotify link. So if you just search Game or Die on Spotify, you will find the podcast link. This will go up probably sometime tomorrow afternoon, but you can always check the VOD on Twitch or YouTube. And that's going to do it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, your day, wherever you are in the world. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.
She came dressed all in white, lowlands away. I dreamed my love came in my sleep. Lowlands, lowlands away, John. Her cheeks were wet. She came to me at my bedside. Lowlands, lowlands away, John, all dressed in white like some fair bride. Lowlands away, and bravely in her bosom fair. Lowlands, lowlands away, John, a red, red rose my love did wear. Lowlands away, she made no sound, no word she said. Lowlands, lowlands away, John, and then I knew my love was dead. Lowlands away. Then I awoke to hear the cry. Lowlands, lowlands away, John. Oh, watch on day.